Good morning, Soul Embodiment Tribe. Brigette Patton here with a message from Spirit. So, I just wanted to talk a little bit about people pleasing this morning. And the reason why is because there are actually two extremes to people pleasing. So, on one end, you may not even realize that you are doing something or having a behavior because you're seeking out validation or confirmation or, you know, even sometimes gratitude and appreciation. But I'm not going to get into that because that's kind of a different frequency, a different emotion that we would have to get into. So when you're talking about people pleasing and seeking external validation and confirmations in the physical world, that's a really good clue that you're people pleasing. And to simplify what I'm talking about with people pleasing, anytime you're trusting your head when an information comes in or you get an idea or you get inspired and you are seeking validation from the external world in some way, maybe you reach out to a friend or maybe you need to hear it from someone else before you take action. That's a really good clue that you're people pleasing because there's a program in there. There's a belief system in your subconscious mind that says, I need permission from, XYZ before I can actually execute this plan that Spirit has given to me. The reason why that's really dangerous is because, and I say dangerous in a way meaning you're suffocating and smothering your soul when you're doing that, is because our soul is meant to always be creating. We are an extension of source consciousness, and source is a continuous stream of change, of shifting, of evolution. And if we aren't keeping up with that by allowing ourselves to create from our hearts, then we are people pleasing. And another extreme of this could be when you're looking at other people and you're finding something wrong with them. You're finding something wrong in the way that they do something or in the way that they're behaving as far as maybe their business goes or in their relationships. If you're coming from a place of judgment rather than a place of solutions and being able to see them in their highest light and understand where they're coming from so that you're detached from that, you're doing another form of people pleasing. And that's kind of a sneaky way that the ego moves into people pleasing, because when you're looking for something wrong with somebody or with the world, there's a belief system in there, a pattern in there that is preventing you from reaching your next highest vibration. And if you can't reach your next highest vibration because you don't know how, because you're relying on your mind, then what happens is the mind wants to destruct. The mind wants to break things down because that energy is actually meant to be used to break down belief systems inside of us. And when we're not doing that and we're looking at things in the external world, people and their behaviors and what's going on in the world, and oh my gosh, that's a good sign that you're people pleasing rather than moving from your heart space, because the mind can only create from the past. The mind only has what's already happened stored within it. And so to create from the future, you have to be able to open up to that creativity, and that creativity and intuition and that inner guidance comes from the heart space. And the heart space's magnetic field is much larger than the mind's. In other words, the ability to channel energy and be able to create in this world is much higher when you're moving from your heart space, because everything's original, everything is unique, everything is at its highest vibration because it's not going through any filters. There's no filters in the heart. It's already whole. There's no filters and limitations that need to be gone through before something is executed. And so that's why I work with people to detach from the belief system so that we can get a bird's eye view of what's really going on based off of behavior, based off of what's going on in the external reality. Then that's a really good reflection of what's happening inside, because even if we don't realize what's going on inside, we can really understand what's happening when we look at our behaviors and we look at what's going on in the external world. What's showing up, how are the relationships, how are your finances, How's your sex life? All of those things tie into the belief systems that are inside of our body. And so one of the other things that I notice is when somebody is trying to pull someone else down, and it's an unconscious thing a lot of the time, because when you're doing personal growth and development, I truly believe that nobody really wants to be that way. It's a self-defense mechanism. It's something that people do because they're afraid. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to achieve that level of success or intimacy or whatever, money. It doesn't matter what it is. When you're looking at it and that inner voice is snarling or judging, or looking at the way someone's spending money, or looking at the way someone's holding a relationship, all of those things are cues that the mind is trying to break down what it's seeing, because it can't figure out how to get there itself. And so we go in there and we figure out what those belief systems are, what that code, that programming code is that the brain is functioning off to behave and respond that way. And so when we're people pleasing, it can look like we're doing it in many areas of our life, but any time that we're coming from our mind and we're thinking about it, when we say something like, we got to think about it, or, let me think about it. When we're saying things like that, we're people pleasing, because when you feel inside of your body and you trust what's coming from your heart, you don't need to think about it. There's no thinking involved. It's a feeling in your body, and then everything else falls into place. Everything else is attracted accordingly in order to be executed. So if any of this is resonating with you, we're definitely a vibrational match, and I would encourage you to reach out to me so we can break those patterns and you can live a life of abundance and deep intimacy and just absolute bliss. Because when you're at this level of emotion, there's no room for anything but certainty. There's no room for no matter what's going on around you, because you still are a human. You're still going to go through human experiences, because that's why we're here. It's exciting to be in your body fully and be able to feel all of those emotions without worrying about what anybody else thinks about it. And no matter how much we think we don't care about what other people think, it's part of our programming. And unless you've done really deep work inside of your body to attach and understand what each sensation in your body means, and you've created your own dialogue for every sensation, if you feel every emotion and you know exactly what that emotion means, and I'm not talking about, oh, I'm angry, oh, I'm sad. I'm talking about, I feel an emotion inside of my body and I know exactly what Spirit's asking me to do above and beyond what my ego thinks this sensation means. If you haven't tapped into every one of those vibrations, you're still people pleasing. So I hope this message really resonates at a deep level, and you can see that there's so much more beyond the belief systems of the ego. The ego is amazing. The ego is what gives us the desires and the inspiration here. It's what allows us to feel our soul in our body. So there's definitely a place for the ego, but if it's inflated to the extreme, or on the other side, if you haven't gotten it in control enough so that your soul can embody your vessel, then what's going to happen is these things that we talked about in this video are going to show up in your life. You're going to have shallow relationships. You're not going to be having a great time in the bedroom. You're going to have a lot of ebb and flow in your business. Your finances are going to be spotty. All of those things are going to show up in some way, shape, or form if you're not fully living inside of your body and being able to channel wholeheartedly from source. So if any of this is resonating, reach out and I will have a conversation with you and we can see what that plan looks like. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. I love you.